Hello everyone, welcome back. So in today's lesson, we're going to continue on with the surface area topic, where we'll be learning how to find the surface area of some more exotic prisms, such as the triangular prism, as opposed to the rectangular or square prism. So let's get started. Now, if you actually pay attention to the booklet, what they recommend is, when it comes to finding the surface area of a triangular prism, they want to actually get you to draw the net. Now, you don't need to do this, but you can if you want. So because the booklet has explained it this way, I'm going to also explain it this way. But you do not have to draw the net to find the surface area of a prism. So it can break it down for you, but it's not necessary. But I'll show you how it's done. Okay. So if you think about it, remember the net of a prism is basically what a prism will look like once you unfold it. Okay, so if you break this prism up, you'll get a net. It's basically converting a 3D shape into a 2D shape. And to find the surface area of this triangular prism, you basically just have to find the area of this shape. Okay, and as you can see, the two triangles, these two triangles, right? That will form what? These two triangles over here, right? And if you pay attention to this side, so that's the top, right? The top of the thing. That's going to be side D. And the base of this prism, that should be here, side C. And as you can see, the height face should match this face, right? So that's how you can break this shape up into this. Now, in order to find the surface area of this triangular prism, all you need to do is find the area of this net. Okay, so let's get started. So let's just start with finding the areas of the triangles. Okay, so A plus B. In other words, this area plus this area. So how do we work that out? Well, we know that's going to be the area of the triangle plus the area of the triangle, right? So how do you find the area of the triangle? Well, we know that the height of a triangle is 4, and the base of the triangle is, as you can see, it's 3 over there, and the hypotenuse is 5. Now remember, to find the area of the triangle, you do base times the height. Okay, so you do not use the hypotenuse. So that means you have to do half times the base, which is 3, times 4. Now that's how you find the area of that triangle, and because there are two triangles, you can just multiply it by 2, right? So what does this equal to? This will give you 12. Okay, so that's the surface, the triangle surface is covered. Now we need to work out C. So how do we find the area of C? Well, as you can see, the base of C is 3, and the height is going to be 8, right? This length is going to be 8 because this is 8. So it's the same length. So the area of C is 8 times 3, which equals to 24. Right. Now, to work out the area of D, you just do the same thing as what you did for C. We know that the height is 8, the base is 5. So it's going to be 8 times 5, because that's how you find the area of a rectangle. And for E, height is 8, base is 4. So we just do 8 times 4. And that should give you 32. Now we have worked out the areas of all the faces. Now to work out the surface area, so I'm just going to write SA for short. We need to add up all the areas of the surfaces. So these 4 numbers, right? Because there are 5 surfaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's going to be 5 surfaces that we're covering. So this covers 2. These are 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So what we can do is just punch this into our calculator. Okay, there's our calculator. Now we just have to add up these 4 numbers. So 12 plus 24 plus 40 plus 32. And what does this give us? Well, we can type it in. Actually, we don't have to type it in because the answer is already here for you. So it's going to be 108. Make sure you write the units, which is centimeters squared. Okay, so basically, to recap, to work out the surface area of a triangular prism, you need to find the areas of all the surfaces, which is demonstrated here, and you need to add them up. Now, like I said, you do not need to draw a net to do this. You can if you want to. Alright, so let's get through some examples. Now, the first examples they give you here are going to be some pretty basic ones, and that's based on what we did yesterday. So I'm just going to go through one example to just give you a basic idea of how to do these questions. Now, you should already know how to do this because I've explained this to you yesterday. But it doesn't hurt to explain again. So how do we find the surface area of this shape? Well, as you can see, this is a cube, right? And a cube has 6 squares, right? 6, as in if you look at all the faces, it's going to be 6 squares. So basically, to work out the surface area of a cube, you just have to work out the area of one of the faces. So in this case, it's 7 times 7. And because there are 6 identical surfaces, we just have to times this by 6. And that's how we get our answer. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward to find the surface area of a cube. You just do 7 times 7 times 6. Okay, so this should give you 294. Make sure you write the units, which is square millimeters. Okay. Now, let's do some slightly more difficult question. And like I said, some of these questions you probably have done them yesterday. So I'm just going to pick one, and hopefully you still remember from yesterday how to do these questions. So I'm just going to pick C. And let's take a look. So let's find the surface area. So I'm just going to start writing surface area is equal to. Now, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to find the area of the front face and the back face first, okay? Because we know that the front and the back are going to be identical for a rectangular prism. So how do we find the area of the front face? Well, as you know, it's a rectangle. So to find the area, you just do length times the base, right? So 45 times 25. That's the area of the front face. Now we have to multiply this by 2 because there are 2 of these faces. Right? So that's the front and back sorted. Now let's do the left and right. So the left face is going to be this one, and the right one is going to be this one, right? So how do you find the area of that? Well, as you can see, if you look at the right face, the base is 60 millimeters. The height is going to be what? Well, the height of this is going to be 45, right? Millimeters. So then to find the left and right face, we just do plus 45 times 60. So this gives you the area of the right face, and we have to times it by 2 because there's going to be a left face and a right face. Right? And then lastly, we need to find the area of the top and the bottom. Right? So how do we find the area of the top and bottom? Well, just find the area of the rectangle. So the area of the rectangle at the bottom is going to be what? 25 by 60. So 25 times 60. And because there's 2 of them, we got to times this by 2. And that's how you can get the surface area of a rectangular prism, because I've worked out the areas of every single face and I've added them all up, right? And remember to multiply them by 2 because there's 2 identical faces on the opposite sides of a rectangular prism. So let's punch this into our calculator. Times 25 times 2 plus 45 times 60 times 2 plus 25 times 60 times 2. This gives you 10,650. So the answer is 10,650. Remember, because it's a surface area, area needs to be some unit squared. So this is going to be millimeters squared. Okay. Hopefully this is clear. I'm just going to go through one more example. It's just so that you fully understand this and will not have too many questions when it comes to doing the homework. Explain it one more time. So, how do we find the surface area of this shape? So, like I said, we need to consider all the faces. So surface area is equal to, so it doesn't matter which face you pick. So I'm just going to pick the top face and the bottom face first. Right, so this is the top face. This is the bottom face, right? Because they are identical. So what does the top face equal to? Well, the top face is going to be 9.5 by 12, right? So 9.5 times 12. And because there's 2 of them, top and bottom, we're going to times this by 2. Now we need to add this to say the left face and the right face, right? So this is the left and the right. So what are the dimensions of the left and right face? Well, we know that the height of this rectangle is 2 and the base is 9.5, right? Because it's 9.5 here. So we do 2 times 9.5, and because there's left and right, so there's 2 faces, times it by 2. And lastly, we need to add the what? We need to add the front face and the back face. Right. So then gotta figure out the area of the rectangle here. So the base is 12 and the height is what? The height is going to be 2. So then we just do 2 times 12. And because there's 2 of them, front and back, we've got to times that by 2 as well. So then what's our answer? So we just type it in into a calculator. 9.5 times 12 times 2 plus 2 times 9.5 times 2 plus 2 times 12 times 2, which is equal to 314. So 314 square meters, right? So I guess what you can do is you can also use this approach like me, where I use the colors to paint the sides that needs to be calculated. So this way it ensures that you cover all the faces and you don't miss out on any. Okay, so let's go through another example. Now in this example, they'll explain to you how to find the area of a triangular prism. So I'm not going to go through the answers, so I'm just going to do it using my own method, and I think you should use the same method. So let's just do it. So you can do this question the same way I did the rectangular prism. So let's get started. Alright, so we can just say SA is equal to, now it doesn't matter which face you pick, but make sure you pick all the faces that are equal. So for this one, we know that there's going to be 2 triangles, right? So I'm just going to do the areas of the 2 triangles first. So what's the area of the 2 triangles? Well, we know that the area of a triangle is going to be half times the base, which is 6, times by the height, which is 4. And because there are 2 triangles, then we can say that we can multiply this by 2, right? Because there's going to be the front triangle and the back triangle. Okay? The next one we can do is we can do the base. So this is the base. Right? So how do you find the area of the base? Well, the base is just going to be 15 by 6, right? So it's going to be plus 15 times 6. And what's the next face? Well, we can also do the side faces. Now, because this triangle is it's an isosceles triangle, right? What that means is these 2 sides are both going to be 5, right? So we can say that these 2 faces are also going to be the same, because it's going to be 5 by 15, right? So this face and this face. So basically, so basically you need to work out the area of these 2 faces, and they have the same shape. They're both 5 by 15, and they're both rectangles. So it's going to be 5 times 15 times by 2, right? So the side faces. Now, what's the total surface area? Well, just type this into your calculator and you should get the answer. So you get half times 6 times 4 times 2. So that's the 2 areas of the triangular faces, plus 15 times 6, and this is the base. So if you think of this as a tent, then the 15 times 6 is the base of the tent, plus 5 times 15 times 2. And you can say these are the 2 roofs of the tent, if you want to think of it that way. And this should give you 264. Now the unit should be square centimeters. And let's check if this is the same answer as what they have here. And as you can see, they also got 264. And they kind of did the question the same way as I did. So they worked out the areas of the 2 triangles, which is what I have in green. The areas of the rectangles, which is what I have in blue. And then the area of the rectangle base, which is what I have in red. And then once you do that, you add up all the areas and you get your answer. Right. So let me go through some more examples, and hopefully that should be enough. So I'm just going to do question, say, 5 the f. Okay. So I hope by now you have a basic understanding of how to find the surface area of triangular prisms. At the end of the day, it's actually not too difficult. It's only very tedious because you have to cover all the areas. Alright, so let's take a look. Surface area. Now, what you can do is you can just work out the area of the triangles first. Okay, so work out the area of the two triangles. So I'm going to draw it here again. So what does that equal to? Well, the area of the triangle is half times base. The base is going to be this length, which is the 6 over here, times height. The height is 4. So do not get tricked by the 5. The 5 is the hypotenuse. It's not the height. So therefore, we do not need to use the 5 to work out the area of the triangle. Alright, so that's the area of one triangle. We've got to times it by 2 because there's two triangles. Plus, we can find the area of the base. So this is the area of the base. And what does that equal to? Well, that's going to be 6 by 11, right? And because there's only one of them, so we just do 6 times 11. We don't need to multiply this by 2. And lastly, we work out the area of these two side surfaces, right? So this one and this one here. Okay. So how do you find the area of that? Well, we know that the base of this rectangle is 11 and the height of that rectangle is going to be 5, right? If you can see that. This is 5. So then that's equal to 5 times 11 times 2. So now we've covered all the surfaces. So we've covered the two triangular faces, front and back. We've covered the base, which is the rectangle at the bottom. And we've also covered the two slanted surfaces, right? So then we just have to add up the numbers and we get our answer. So we just do half times. Okay, so I'm just going to delete all of this. Now, it's just a coincidence that the areas of the triangles are the same. Okay, so it's already written for me. Now we just have to do 6 times 11 plus 5 times 11 times 2. So there's a lot of it's a lot of calculator work, so make sure you check the numbers that you type into your calculator will match the ones here, because if you make a mistake here, your final answer is going to be wrong. And we get a nice round number, 200 millimeters squared. Okay, so I hope these examples are enough for you to do the homework. Now, if you look at the other questions, if you look at question 7, it says a shipping container has a shape of rectangular prism. So basically, if it doesn't draw a diagram for you, I recommend you draw the diagram. So this is a rectangular prism. These are also rectangular prisms. These are also rectangular prisms. So in other words, what question 7 and 8 and 9 are asking you is surface area of a rectangular prism. Question 5 is triangular prism. So just remember, triangular prisms have how many faces? They only have 5. Rectangular prisms have 6 faces. Okay, so that's all for today. So hopefully after watching this video, you have a good understanding of how to do the questions. Now, remember, there's multiple ways you can do these questions. There's the way which you can draw the net and do it, which I don't really recommend because it's quite tedious. And then there's the way that I do it, where I go straight to the answer, but I make sure I cover all the surfaces in my working out. And I recommend this way because it's the easiest and the quickest way. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you've learned something new. See you next time.